Welcome. Welcome to Keep Calm and Mother On. My name is Christy Thomas, and I am so glad you're here. Last week, we talked about how to be a friend to yourself. And this week, we're going to talk about that community connection piece. Because part of how to be a friend to yourself is checking in with your heart. And to me, that means checking in on your passions and building community. So one of the things that I've done this recently to end summer was, now that we're settled into our new house, I knew I needed to make time for adult socialization. And I'm sure you're not the only one. I love my family and my kids and my husband so much that they are literally my best friends in terms of like people I enjoy hanging out with. But also, let me know if you feel the same. My skin gets a little bit itchy. I feel restless when they're the only people I hang out with. My community needs to be bigger than just my immediate family. And now that the kitchen renovations are 99% done, I decided it was time to host something. And the first thing I thought of, because I love reading, was a book swap. Okay? I had never hosted one before. It was totally a, if you build it, they will come, Field of Dreams sort of thing. And so I dropped the feelers to a couple of friends, like, hey, what do you think? Would you come to something like this? Luckily, most of my friends are readers too, and they have paper books. Not everyone had paper books that came. We'll get to that. But there was a workaround for that too. So, easy expectations. I set the event for 7 p.m. on a Monday. And I said there was going to be only light snacks and to please bring a summer book that you've read to swap with someone else. Okay. I said no kids. Our backyard has a pool and that made me nervous. And so no kids. And it was 7 to 8:30, like a clear boundary time. People respected that boundary too. Like people were out of here by 8:45. So that worked well. Monday night from 7 to 8:30. And what we did was earlier in that afternoon, I went to Costco. You could go to the superstore, grocery store, wherever you go. And I got some chips and dips and fruit. I made some chocolate chip cookies and I had lots of sparkling waters. Cause I have this thing about like people driving themselves to an event and then having to drive themselves home. An hour and a half isn't like quite enough time to get sober and for me to feel safe with the responsibility of offering alcohol to people. Yeah, I have a quirk. So I threw it out there. I made the invitation. I just used Evite and I shared it. I shared it with a neighborhood group of military spouses. I shared it with some local moms I know. I shared it with a couple of my students' moms that I know are military connected. And I just invited. And then I remembered more people and I texted the invitation again. The invitation, the RSVPs got up to about 16 people of saying yes. And I thought that was really great. And then as the day approached, like 2 hours before, right, a couple people backed out, but there was still enough people to swap books. Okay, so besides like paper plates and some snacky foods that I offered, the other setup I did was I got out sticky notes and I had pens with them so that people could write a couple of like bullet points about the book that they brought and put it on the cover. And then I had postcards that I had painted in my meditative art practice, right? So I painted 2 postcards and one said fiction and one said nonfiction so the books could be sorted on the dining room table. And let's see what else. Oh, I had an icebreaker. And this I found on Pinterest, just like I don't know, right as I was falling asleep the night before, I Googled, oh, how do I host a book swap? And I found a book swap brunch. I will link the post into the show notes here. But in this brunch post, they were way more highbrow than me in terms of like setting it up. But also they had a book character quiz and a literary quotes quiz. And this was really fun because not everyone knew everything. The book characters ranged from rom-coms to classics and to kids' books. And it was pretty diverse. And then the quotes one had definitely modern authors to classics and definitely diverse voices on there too. And it was just like one-liners from books. I nailed the one from Anna Karenina, by the way. But that was a good icebreaker because people then took the time to like fill these out and they chatted with each other and they joked around like, do you know this? What sort of book do you normally read? The one regret I have about the book swap is that I had wanted to get name tags and I ran out of time. And I thought it'd be fun to have on the name tag, hi, my name is, and ask me about, and then they could write their book title. And then that could be like another conversation starter. So it was about an hour of small talk and get to know you. And about the hour mark, because people kind of trickled in, we went through the answers together. And we totally had to Google. The blog post that I saw didn't have the answers. Maybe they're actually there. It was more fun to Google. So I'm really glad we went that route. So we did the book characters first, because we were mostly confident in those. And then we did the quotes. And we ended up doing like text to speech in order to be able to like declare what they were. So no one had to type them all in. It was fun. And then people picked books. And they talked about what they liked and they kind of wandered around the table. And it was a good framework for just building community. So I did it brave. I invited mostly strangers with some real life people that I knew to pad the crowd. I sent my family out for the evening. They went to the library and then got ice cream. And then I decided at the end of the night, it worked well. I would totally do it again. It was low maintenance in terms of things that I host. It's easy to have snacks like this on hand. I have teenagers and a tween. We have a lot of snacks all the time. So that was easy. And I love books. Now, the key thing that I forgot was because I knew a couple of people, at least one, said that they were big e-reader fans. So I wanted to make sure there were enough books for everyone to swap. And so I looked up little free libraries around me. And I went to the official little free library site. And then my middle child, who's busy clocking driver's ed hours, and I drove around town and picked up some little free library books, and I donated some books as we went. I swapped kids' books for grown-up books, and that was helpful to have just a little bit more out there. Because I'm also an author, I put a couple copies of my book on the table, which was super fun, because most of these people were brand new to me, and it was a nice way to use up some of my author stash of books of You're the Right Mom for Your Kids. It's so fun to inspire other people to think about themselves as authors because it's really easy to do nowadays. And if you want to connect with my homegirl, Boomy, I will send you an email so you can work together. But yeah, build community. You need community. Okay, so that was like the big thing I did. The second thing that I've done recently for the month of August is I looked at when back to school starts, knowing that like a lot of my friends work for preschools or school nurses, things like that. And they go back to school like the second week after some training. And so I'm gathering people to go out to lunch that first week of school. So that will be really fun too. I threw the invitation out there and I'm like, okay, which one of these dates work? Now I need your help planning it because that's not really my forte, but I will gather. I will gather the people. If you haven't read, by the way, this is a good tie-in. If you haven't read the book, The Art of Gathering, about how to build community by giving events purpose and function and a direct task. So the book swap, the direct task was I wanted to meet strangers and have them feel at the end of the night that they had connected with one new person. And books were the gateway for that. For the back to school lunch, it's going to be rekindling old friendships after, the summer break. So those are the purposes. And I'll probably come up with some icebreakers for that one so we can flow with the conversation if we need to. Anyways, that's what I'm doing. So my idea for self-care for you for this episode is to go out of your way to plan a community event. Maybe it's not hosting people at your house. Maybe you're like my kids and you're you invited internet strangers to your house. That was bold. That goes against all the internet rules, Mom. Yes, it does. But they were vetted strangers kind of already. Anyways, it worked, I think. You can meet up at a local coffee shop. You can meet at the library. You could go for a walk and pick a community park to meet at. You can find a pickleball group. You can find community. I'm just encouraging you because I know how important it is to do life together. We're not designed to live alone. Life is too fragile. So fragile. Build a community. And if you hate small talk, then build a community where you're doing something together. Maybe it's making snack bags for kids for after school. That might be my next one. A donation to the community food pantry. And we can just walk around the table and everyone can put food into Ziplocs. That would be good. Because having your hands busy, having a task helps. Okay. That was a lot of talking about how to plan a social event. And maybe you don't overthink it like I do. But there you go. If your community social event, I'll throw this one out there, is to read a book together and then invite the author onto Zoom and then you guys can be in the same room and you can Zoom me in, I would do that too. So I will throw that out there. Let me know. Next, your family fun activity. I don't know if it's Olympic fever at your house. It's been Olympic fever here. By the time you listen to this, the Olympics are done. But it's been a lot of fun, and we've been really enjoying watching the competitions. So if you didn't do any makeshift mock Olympic games, then I suggest maybe you do some relay races and do some silliness like that. It's okay if you didn't do it during the actual Olympics, okay? Just do something. And if that's not your thing, then my default family activity is to build a fort somehow and read underneath it. That's always a fun one. Ooh, yeah, we'll leave it there. Now the idea wheel is spilling over, and I've got to save some for the next episode. You are exactly the right mom. I am so glad that you are here on Earth. Other people are so glad that you are here on Earth. It's amazing. Go tell someone that you love them. Bye, everyone.